there, you're watching the news update on AFRICUNIA TV, bringing you update from the African scene, foreign scene, and the world of sport. My name is Deborah Ezeh. Many thanks for joining me. Looking into the African scene today, the Republic of Chad on Monday handed over the leader of an anti-Balaka armed group, Maxime Malcolm, to the International Criminal Court on suspicion of war crimes and crimes against humanity. The Hague court confirmed on Monday Malcolm is suspected of war crimes and crimes against humanity allegedly committed in Bangui and other locations in the Central African Republic in 2013 and 14, the ICC said in a statement. And in Sudan, security forces fired bullets and tear gas canisters Monday in an attempt to disperse thousands of Sudanese protesters against military rule and inflation, which has been worsening since October's coup. On Sunday, the price of bread rose from 35 to 50 Sudanese pounds, up from 5 to 7 euro cents, and the cost of transport rose by 50%. Faced with thousands of demonstrators, many of them high school students in Damazin, 800 kilometers southeast of Khartoum, security forces fired tear gas canisters also rained down in Yala, in western Darfur, as thousands of high school students and residents chanted "No education in these disastrous conditions" and "No military rule." And moving away from that story, in Nigeria, parents, undergraduates, and other stakeholders have voiced their disappointment as the Academic Staff Union of Universities extended its ongoing strike by 2 months. The aggrieved teachers had on February 14th declared a 1-month warning strike in protest against the government's failure to meet their demands. Rising from an emergency meeting of its National Executive Council at the University of Abuja yesterday, ASUU President Professor Emmanuel Oshodeke said, having taken reports of the engagement of trustees and principal officers with the government, the union concluded the government had failed to satisfactorily address all the issues raised in the 2020 FGN/ASUU Memorandum of Action within the 4 weeks rollover strike period, and resolved that the strike be rolled over for another 8 weeks to give government more time to address all the issues in concrete terms so that our students will resume as soon as possible. But President's National Parent-Teacher Association of Nigeria, NAPTAN, Alhaji Haruna Danjuma, said ASUU and the federal government could sort out their differences without making student victims. He lamented that too worrisome, noting that the development does not portray the country in good light before the international community. And still in Nigeria, the national power grid collapsed yesterday, causing a nationwide outrage as the entire system crashed due to the loss of 1,100 megawatts from a 3,700 megawatts peak generation earlier recorded. This was just as airline operators in Nigeria yesterday warned that they have only 3 days left to shut down operations over lingering scarcity of aviation fuel. For the power sector, as at yesterday afternoon, the system was yet to peak upload, according to a grid operator's report, which showed that just 3 generation companies were trying to restart, but were yet to generate any energy. As of yesterday, the Transmission Company of Nigeria, which manages the power grid, had yet to comment on the immediate cause of the collapse, although it was the first in the year. The blackout had worsened throughout the country around 10:40 a.m. after the national grid collapsed, with the Eco Electricity Distribution Company confirming the incident in a text message to its customers. And still on the African scene, Algeria's President Abdelmadjid Tebboune ordered on Sunday the banning of exports of all consumer products that Algeria imports, such as sugar, pasta, oil, semolina, and all wheat derivatives. The announcement followed a meeting of the Council of Ministers, and the presidential decision means that not only Algerian economic operators are not allowed to export food products made from imported raw materials, but also they risk legal action in case of infringement. In addition, the President of the Republic asked the government to continue to ban completely the import of frozen meat and to encourage the consumption of locally produced meat. And now on to the foreign scene. China denied on Tuesday claims by US officials that Russia had sought military assistance in Ukraine and accused Washington of spreading malicious disinformation that risks escalating the conflict. The US has repeatedly spread malicious disinformation against China on the Ukraine issue. China has been playing a constructive role in promoting peace talks. The top priority now is to ease the situation instead of adding fuel to the fire and work for diplomatic settlement rather than further escalate the situation, the minister said. And moving on, India is conducting a review of its standing operating procedure for operations, maintenance and inspection of weapons system after accidentally launching a missile into Pakistan last week, its defense minister said on Tuesday. We attach the highest priority to the safety and security of our weapons system. If any shortcoming is found, it will be immediately rectified, Rajnath Singh told the parliament. While this incident is regretted, we're relieved that nobody was hurt due to the incident, Singh also added. And more updates from India. An India court upheld on Tuesday a ban on wearing of the hijab in classes in the southern state of Karnataka, a ruling that could set a precedent for the rest of the country, which has a big Muslim minority. The ban last month by the southern state sparked protests by some Muslim students and parents and counter-protests by Hindu students. Critics of the ban say it's another way of marginalizing a community that accounts for about 13% of Hindu majority Indians, 1.3 billion people. Ahead of the verdict, Karnataka authorities announced closure of schools and colleges and imposed restriction on public gatherings in some parts of the state to prevent potential trouble. And still on the foreign scene, the war in Ukraine is likely to be over by early May when Russia runs out of resources to attack its neighbor. Oleksiy Arestovich, an advisor of the Ukrainian President's chief of staff, said late on Monday. Talks between Kyiv and Moscow, in which Arestovich is not personally involved, have so far produced very few results other than several humanitarian corridors out of besieged Ukrainian cities. Still, even once peace is agreed, small tactical clashes could remain possible for a year, according to Arestovich, although Ukraine insists on the complete removal of Russian troops from its territory. And away from that scene, onto the sports scene, Manchester City ended the Premier League title initiative to Liverpool after they were held to a 0-0 draw by a Dutch Crystal Palace on Monday Night Football. At a rocking Selhurst Park Palace, were seeking a league double over City for the first time since 1987 and 1988 in the second tier, and they put up a stiff resistance as Pep Guardiola's side were left frustrated by the stalemate. City ran into an inspired Vicente Guaita, who brilliantly denied Riyad Mahrez with an instinctive save after Kevin De Bruyne struck the inside of the post just before the hour mark. And finally, Jamie Carragher praised Mikel Arteta for an impressive tactical switch, which has underpinned Arsenal's resurgence, but warned it could also be exploited by Liverpool in Wednesday's crunch Premier League match. Sunday's 2-0 victory over Leicester saw the Gunners claim a 9th Premier League victory in 11 games to move back into 4th place and strengthen their grip on Champions League qualifications. And that's all from us tonight on AFRICUNIA Television News Update. Do ensure to follow all our social media platforms displayed on your screen to stay connected and updated to our news and other programs. Also visit our website on www.africunia.tv. Once again, I'm Deborah Ezeh. Many thanks for watching.